Well, what do we have here? We have the project file for I Wanna Dance, and this is a track which I'm sure quite a few people want to see a walkthrough for, because I've had questions before saying, will you do a walkthrough of something tech Transy? Will you do a walkthrough of one of the harder tracks? And that's what we have here today. You can just see my hair in the fluffy. So that's my new look. Let's get into the project file just so that we can, dive in and cut to the point. Kick and bass from the start until the end, it's all very much the same, very much of the same tone. I think there's actually no changes in the notes. It's just all the same all the way through. Very typical techie vibe, because as Fish Octagon said it himself, tech trance is very techie in the intro and outro, but in the middle section you have like a big euphoric trancey bit before it goes into the drop. And I also would classify this as a bit more like hard trance as well, because of those very classic hard trance style sounds that I've used dotted throughout. You can hear with the kick is quite boxy, I would call it. It's got a nice punch, and you can see that I've not used the whole beat. These are some of the things which I've already gone through in previous videos about making sure that you've got nice tight punchy kick and bass, and not messing, getting muddy, in the low end. But I think this is cool because we can talk about this kind of thing, this type of bass, which is not something that I've covered before. I have two sounds for the bass. I've got this reverse bass style, like hard style sound, which we keep filtered down through the intro. And then we sort of build it up towards this drop here. So that's where it's like doing it's all like in full. That's a Vengeance sample, actually. This little trick here enables you to use the same sound but use it in a different way. So rather than using multiple different presets and different samples, you can use the same sample but edit it to suit the part in the track. So, like I said, bit low with the high taken out, and then all full for this drop, and I think also for the main one. Yeah, and then back down again at the outro, which is pretty cool. I quite like the flow of it. I think it really helps adds color to the track in the right places. And then underneath that we have a sub. This sample here is from a bass loop, and it's the same one that I used on Trans-Pacific. And then you can really hear how that one sounds. I put the sub filter on that one. And I've also got some EQ. Yep. Just to push frequency. And all together, them together sound pretty nice. If I'll just play from the main bit. And all, with all the ducking that happens already in the sample, I didn't have to adjust it too much. It was just like adding an extra layer of LFO tool on top. But it's pretty cool. And that's your sort of bread and butter, hard trance, techie kick and bass. And I've also got this one, this channel here, which I've just kept for the reverse kick, so you can hear it slap, which is great, especially in a club. That sounds awesome because it's kind of like a mini sub riser in that the bass of the tail of the kick has a lot of the thud, and that's what pulls into the snappy bit, which is the beginning of the kick, which is like a rim shot. So it's like a whip. It's kind of like a whip sound, which is what I like to put in a lot of my tracks. It's cool. It's also kind of like a vinyl record starting up, which is nice. Yeah, so that's a little trick there. And There's a few other kicks dotted around just for particular reasons. This one here is from Noise Controllers. It's an acoustic kick that I can use in the buildups. And that means that we can still have a drum roll, but with a softer kick so that the main kick sounds more powerful. So they all like serve a purpose in that way. There's also some, this one here is like a mid bass that I've used only for the outro, and I think it's the outro, yeah, intro and outro, and it's just this sample. And I think, yeah, it's like got the telephone kind of effect where you cut the highs and lows, and it's just like, it's there, it fills the space, but it doesn't try to take over too much of what's happening. It just sets the tone of the track so you know that it's going to be in A minor. And then, A minor? Let's just check. I think it is. Where can we look? Yeah. So you're setting the tone. In the DJ intro, since if I wanted to have these basses in the DJ intro, it'd be too much. That's cool. And I've also got this here, which is from a Psytrance pack. So that one I had to change the pitch because it was in a lower key, but I think it sounds good. And to be honest, even with that warping on, it adds more to the glitchiness of it. So like not having it completely clean was actually added more to the track. There's also these hardstyle climax kicks, which again, this one I've stretched it. I made the BPM 300, and then obviously that's not true. It's meant to be 150. But if I doubled the BPM in Ableton and add the complex, it does that like squelchy, screechy thing, which makes like it's just, it adds a lot to it. Like, so wrong, but it's right. And yeah, that makes for a nice fill. There's also like these little fills which run up to the, which are in the breakdown, which help add to the tension of it all. And it does, those are like very typical Yoji style hard trance, Scott Project-ish. And etc. Those help. There's also breakbeats, and these allow for something like a common theme, especially in what I've been doing with the hard techno, is I've been putting a lot of old school breaks in. What I tend to do is put a clean one with a dirty one. The reason why is because if I have a dirty breakbeat, sometimes the transients of the sound are not very punchy enough. I'm not very like cutting it through on the dance floor. It's like it's there, but it's not really doing anything. So what I do is I layer on top a clean one, and this allows it to melt them together very well. They're almost like the same sound because it's the same break, but the two of them together add just way more to the sound. So the original one is, see, there's not much body to it, but then I put the clean one underneath. Together is just much fuller and just really, really, really high quality output, you know. And in combination with that vocal sample, it's like, yeah, they work together really well. It sounds almost like it's one coherent, like one complete sound. Like I've took a complete fill from somewhere else and stuck it in, but it's not. It's as you can see, it's multiple parts. It's the effort of multiple parts. All these kind of things. Yeah. So you've got these samples. That one there I've just shown you, and then there's crash, effects, kicks, sweeps up and down. These two sweeps are used by noise controllers. I looked at his tutorial kind of walkthrough thing that he did. He uses these risers. I think they're both from Vengeance. Yeah. And I like them. I think I've been using these ones from like for the foreseeable anyway, because they're so like I don't have to overpower the whole mix with multiple risers and things. These do the job enough. And I've also added this part at the beginning. This is kind of like a Brian Carney thing, but I also remember back like 10, 15 years ago, Nicky what's his name? Nicky Romero. I can't remember the name. Like EDM producers of that time would have white noise just on the first few beats of the drop, and that's what's to sort of simulate the experience of being in the club or a festival when the smoke machines go off on the drop. It's kind of like a psychological thing. It makes the drop feel fuller when it hits. And you can add more wherever you want. And again, so it sounds like you're actually, or it's like to imitate the effect of being at a festival. Oh, so shall I say rave? Because that's what people call it nowadays. Riser, the usual synth riser that goes up, and as long as it's in the key of the track, that's good. For percussion, I wouldn't say it's very heavy on percussion. A lot of the stuff that's put in it is like quite marching to keep it on the rhythm, keep it quite robotic sounding. There's this, claps on the rhythm. And when you do that, you give it automatically creates a sort of marching feel to it, and that can add to the techiness and to the hard tranciness of the track. As you hear, many producers use that now across different genres to create that vibe, rather than just having it on the 2 and 4. And there's also these hats. So like 909s. Just adding more emphasis. And then this here. Like a effects loop, but it's with percussive elements. So together it gives like a nice texture, and then just a loop underneath, which is very robotic. Yeah, so that's what I've got there. And then adding a ride on top. And then building it with the snares. And I've got this screech, which is just a sample. The screech in that first drop is just a sample that I've chopped up. Yeah, like everything together. We're missing these trans stab things because I'm having some sort of problem with Vengeance Avenger, and I've reached out to the technical support. Like I have too many authorizations, even though I'm the only person with the authorization. It's just weird, but I'm going to fix that. And what that has is these sort of trancy stabs. I can't play it for you, but I think if I'm actually, I might do this. Put something on like this. And then you'll see what I mean. Say, for example, do something like this. Yeah, something like this. I'll grab this channel and I'll put all the MIDI on here, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is what it sounds like. That is completely inspired by W&W on their sort of big room transy EDM tracks. Those stabs just add to the tonality of it all and create like real flow. So, for example, when it drops to here. So those notes are just doubled up, so that like the upper octave and lower octave, but they're only 2 notes. Let's have a look. Yeah, like D, F, C, E. That kind of gives it a nice sort of mood. It like sets the mood as well. It stops it from being too atonal. Or say only having, you know, focus on the A key, because we know that the breakdown is going to be transy, right? So you have to have some of those sort of elements in it that sound transy already. Otherwise, it's going to be totally random and not an enjoyable listen. And then there's some of these hits, these acid hits here, which are cool. There's 2 sounds. Let me figure out what I did here because I can't really remember. I think one of them's sounding like this. I remember feeling that it was like, it's like got the Hass effect on it. So it kind of feels, and you can see it on the waveform as well, like the left and right are not in time. And then the one underneath is the same sound, but more mono. It's like, it's not actually in mono, but it sounds more mono. So together, you've got a fuller sound because it's the left, right, in the middle, that kind of thing. It's the same approach that I had with that Amen break, right? If I've got 2 versions of the same thing and one of them's clean and one of them's dirty, why not put them both together? Because then it's going to create something completely new. And those are just dotted around. And that kind of sound is very, it's got Project, very Yoji, very classic hard trance. Just that little 303 kind of stab. Then what else do we have? We have, yeah, like setting the tone, but also like quite machine sounding, stab in reverse. it's all quite robotic sounding, like the machinery. All these different sounds have like a very machine kind of vibe to them, which is nice because it creates an overall feeling that the track is mechanical and is all one type of character. And then on top of that, you've got these other elements which are going to bring it more to life, which is all the transy things on top. And then I've got this acid, which I think again is in Vengeance. So let's just quickly place this and I'll show you what I mean. We'll do something like that just to create an example of what's happening. So and that creates a sinister tone by using these particular notes. So like if we go this here. So if I was to play something like, it's got like a dark tone to it, and it's also a little bit like KLF. What time is it? What time is love? That kind of feeling, like a dark energy to it. And I think this ARP as well is also in Vengeance Avenger, but it's essentially like a background ARP thing that goes on. It's not really too it's not really taking up too much space in the mix. So you can probably hear that when you hear the track. But if I could show you, I would. Next is this sample. Really nice. And that has a lot of stuff going on that can really add to the track. You hear it's got like these little rhythmic drums and almost like an ethnic vocal. And then there's like dub techno, whoopy synth stabs. Or let's say like loopy French house. And then you've got all these like really high percussive tones that are like really, really, really high up in the mix. There. Yeah, really nice. So then all that together. Yeah, pretty cool. And then we move on to the main thing, which is the vocal. This is obviously the title of the track, Wanna Dance, and it's used this vocal here from Splice. So what I did was originally put the sample into mono and then make it stereo again by adding the Haas style effect on the left and right channel, making it delayed. And then I've also got plug-in and wail, which is just to really pump that vocal, make it sound tougher. Which I think I only really use it gently, and then some EQ. And then these delays and stuff, which really help. And what's good is that they have the space between, so it's kind of like a call and response. You got dance, 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 I wanna dance, dance, dance. So the delay adds it into here and here before the next part comes. And by this part, the feedback should have been reasonably low enough that it doesn't collide. Yeah, really cool. And that is put throughout the track. And I took a risk in trying to make the build-up, this part here. I just thought, why don't I try and stretch the hell out of it? Because I already have that sample, which is building up the side Transy kick one in here. Like that's already messed up. And if I mess up the vocal too, then they kind of complement each other because they're kind of both messed up. And that was just by pure experimentation. And what I like is the way that the vocal completely deteriorates, almost to the way that in The Matrix, when Neo gets plugged, like first sort of like pulled out of the Matrix into the real world after he takes the red pill. When, you know, they hook him up to all the equipment, and then he starts to see reality deteriorate around him, and you can hear that sort of sound effect happening to the vocal when we put it through Ableton's warp feature. I think it's on the complex setting. Yeah, so you get these kind of artifacts which are really awesome and really add to the vibe. I just think it's so cool, and by stroke of luck it worked and sounded just exactly how I intended. And yeah, during the break, I've got string here, which is what I like to add. It maintains a certain density in the frequency, but also it creates tension. And obviously all the atmospheres and things are added in the break only, because that's how we achieve the desired result of, you know, the Transy bit, as you call it. And I added the binary voice just on the second and fourth note, so it kind of acts like a clap. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what creates, again, more tension, because you know that something's coming. As more elements are added in, you know that it's building up to something. What I like is this part here is very much like an open space. So it feels very large. That makes the track feel big. Kind of the way that Anima does before the drops, you know, builds up the synths to nothing, creates a big dense space with a nice bit of reverb, makes it feel roomy, and then drops. And that's the kind of thing that we went through, like to try and achieve that. Yeah, it's cool because it's kind of storytelling in a way. It's not like a generic drop, generic build up, generic everything. It's in my point of view, it's pretty different to your sort of standard Transy break. I'm going to move this screech to the last part because that's what comes finally into the track. You can see that there's 2 bass pads going on in here. The first one is like more of like a Reese style. Don't tell me it's Vengeance. Hold on. Bear with me. Okay, so this one is playing like this. And in combination with this one here, which is from bass modulators, and this is a pluck bass. So together it feels like you've got the main tone being set by that sort of Reese one, and then you've got the plucky bass, which feels like almost like a guitar. And together, and that the way that the notes are hitting is creating pace and creating energy. If it was just straight, there would be less energy for sure. And that's, again, another creative decision, which is based purely on what reaction I want to get in the dance floor. Do you want to get people moving? And of course you do. As a this is what we do this for, is to make people dance. So what I've done is I've added on that extra rhythmic part in the break to keep the pace going. And then on top of that, we've got the leads, which, again, I'm pretty proud of this riff because it's minimal enough to not take over the whole theme of the track. It just sits there nicely. And this one is another stacked lead from bass modulators, which I was using similar stacked leads on like more recent of the harder stuff that I've been making, because it's just the density of it is nice. And then there's a nice tail of the reverb. I think it's the Valhalla Room one here. So the tail of that one fills the space. And it starts off, filtering it in a little bit, and then bam. They all work nicely together at the end here. What I've got is this one here has a sort of call and response thing going on as well. So when there's that one's not playing, that one's playing. So that lead there, as I mentioned, it has multiple presets from bass modulators pack. Turned all the delays and reverb off on each one, and I've just put on the main one at the end, so that all the reverbs and delays don't get all muddled up together from the different synths. You've got them all dry, then with the effects on top. Like without the effects, it's pretty dry, I think. Yeah. And then with them on. And those are going through pretty much the same presets. So like a 46% depth on the OTT here. It's the same one that I use on everything. And then some of them added saturation to it as well. Just on like a 2-band saturation. And yeah, that's the lead sound. And I think I used that on Turn Me Up as well. But you can hear that it has like a very techie, hard transy, hard stylish feeling. And then we have this last sound, which is a patch from Serum. And this is like the hard techno aggression, you could call it. Very much old school hard trance, old school hard style. And it's all, yeah, it's just like teasing it in a little bit. And then so then you know that bit is... So I think I've talked about this almost every video. Introduce an idea, make it go away, bring it back. Wins every time. People love it. They eat this up because psychologically their brain rewards them for some reason. They get more dopamine. If they liked something, it goes away, then it comes back. So I did it again in this one. And then the full riff is here. Again, you've got that screech riff from the beginning. Again, bring that idea in, take it away, bring it back. So this part's quite different because normally after a drop you'd still maintain most of the percussion and then build it down from there. But what I wanted to do was to bring in just the kick and the bass after the main drop, and then build up the percussion, and then take it away again. And I can tell you that when you're DJing, it's much easier to start mixing here because you've just got the kick, so you're going to hear it a bit, less aggressive on the ears. But also, I think it's nice, a little bit of a creative touch, because whereas before this binary voice was only using here in the break as like a background sound, now it gets its chance to do its full thing here. It's nice to just, it gets this little chance to do its thing, and then we bring the vocal back in. So it's nice, because it's a bit cheeky because it builds up to something, but then it takes it down and then it's gone. The track only lasts another minute after that. And then go to the outro, and as I said earlier, yeah, it has this bass loop. You can see how much has been taken out. All of that sort of sigh-ish low end's gone, and all of that aggressive part there is gone. We're just focusing completely around that section in the track, around the mids. Yeah, very nice. Fun fact, this track was originally 150 BPM, but the label wouldn't sign it unless I took the BPM down. So that's why it's 143. I actually quite like it at this speed now that I've heard it a few times. I think it's got quite a lot nice roominess to it. I think when it was 150, it was cool, but it was a bit, everything was like packed in. You know how I've showed you all these little intricate hits and things, little machinery style synths. They weren't really getting their space because of all the stuff that was going on with the percussion at 150. So yeah, everything gets its own space. Everything has its roominess to it. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't have too much to say about the track because a lot of the things that I talk about when I do these videos, they're all the same kind of school of thought. Everything that I've learned from working with different producers over many years that I've, crammed into here. I'm just saying, and I have a lot of fun making music because of the things that I've learned through like more than 15 years doing music. But yeah, if you have any questions about this track in particular that I haven't answered, maybe you want to know about some of the presets or something like that I haven't covered, feel free to leave a comment because I always try to reply, get back to anybody about this track. If you want me to cover another one, I will. I have kind of promised myself though that I won't be doing videos for my sort of hybrid tracks because those really are my babies, like, the Castles in the Sky remix. Like, I would love to show somebody it, but I also kind of want to protect that because it really is one of my favorite tracks I've ever done. But let's see. Maybe in a few months I'll change my mind. Yeah, if there's anything that I missed, anything you want to know, anything that, you want to say about the track, yeah, let me know. And thanks very much for watching. Take care. Have a good week. Have a good day wherever you are. See ya.